If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
43 seconds of logos.
Hey man, nobody cares.
How did I miss it?
Galahad would be amazing at CinemaSins, but hey, we all know why you, a highly trained Secret Service guy, missed it. The plot.
Yeah, but how did you misspell CinemaSins? How do you not properly spell your own channel name? There is no space there. That's like the guy that makes these videos spelling his name TH3 space Birdman. The guy that makes these videos? Don't you mean us? No, the guy that puts all this together and does the voiceovers and stuff. You know, the Birdman. Yeah, but aren't we the Birdman? No, you're future Birdman and I'm Birdman. He's the Birdman. You know, like the one above all. The writer. The guy that does the subtitles and censors me when I say some foul shit. I see you've gone cuckoo. Let's just go to the next sin, please.
Yep, this movie has the balls to go for the snow globe transition shot.
You hating on snow globes, bruh? Do we have a problem here? I said...
Do we have a problem? Huh?
Are there seriously not any guards outside this door right now? I have people inside doing absolutely nothing.
Why in the blue hell would there be guards outside, Jeremy? This group of guys broke in here. Why would they need to stand guard outside a place they broke into? This is in the middle of nowhere, Argentina. They have absolutely no reason to expect anyone else to visit this place.
Furthermore, any random asshole can knock on the door in the middle of nowhere and you just answer it with the slightest amount of caution?
He's literally pulling out a gun. That's not the slightest amount of caution. But you gotta love the irony of CinemaSins acknowledging that this is the middle of nowhere, but they expected these guys to be guards for no reason. CinemaSins talks out of both sides of their mouths so often, you'd think they were Democrats.
Okay, so how did Gazelle manage to walk across the floor without anyone hearing her? This floor isn't carpeted, so how did she run without it sounding like Oscar Pistorius running from a burglar?
Except that's a blatant lie, because the movie shows that the floor is carpeted.
When it comes down to it, this shot represents the love and hate of the Star Wars saga.
Actually, these days, this is true, but for the opposite of what you're implying.
This hologram meeting intrigues me. Do all of these agents bring their coasters and drinking glasses with them into the field, just in case one of their brothers dies and they need to toast him?
Considering all the Kingsmen were alerted to Lancelot's death, why do you think they're in the field instead of in a place where they can have a sit and a drink? Like, oh, I don't know, a safe house, for example.
Try picking a more suitable candidate this time.
You're still holding a grudge about the last guy this one recruited? 17 years later? What's the statute of limitations on a bum recommendation to the Kingsman forces?
Yeah, but that is literally what the movie says itself. You can't repeat what the movie just said back at it as if you came up with that idea.
17 years, and still evolving with the times remains an entirely foreign concept to you. Need I remind you I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that young man?
These excessive liquor bottles are an orgy of evidence that suggests Eggsy lives a less than pleasant home life.
Or a more than pleasant one? I don't know. People that are confused and angry when I say I don't drink are giving me mixed signals.
Eggsy?
Eggsy? Really? I'm not British enough to know if this kid's name is a flat-out joke or just charming.
Kingsman is based on a comic book series. The author of those books had a childhood friend named Eggsy, who was called that because he didn't like eggs. He thought it was funny, so he nicknamed Gary Eggsy. See? Questions have answers, and that means questions themselves aren't sins.
Are you mental, cuz? He just get that lot to do you?
I don't know about you, but if I go into a pub and see a whole bunch of people I hate sitting nearby, I don't drink in that pub.
That's racist.
What you doing here? You taking a piss?
Damn, do these guys have a synced up drinking schedule or something?
No, this pub is the haunt for these hoods. They think of it as their territory, so they're always here.
Oh, sure, people have fun ragging on the Bourne movies for shaky cam fight scenes, but this movie gets all the love for what amounts to many missing frames jumpy cam fight scenes.
Jump cuts? Sorry, but no, this fight scene was excellent. See what I did there?
I am absolutely fine with umbrella-assisted brawling, but I draw the line at amnesia darts, goddammit.
Ignoring the fact that this is a fantasy movie based on a comic book series, an aesthetic literally has the effect of causing short-term amnesia. It's a real thing, is what I'm saying.
Also, Harry will totally not amnesia dart these guys because he needs them to tell Eggsy's stepdad about the fight and conduct an elaborate test to examine Eggsy's loyalty. But they know all sorts of stuff they shouldn't know and never get amnesia darted.
What would be the purpose of giving the hoodlums amnesia? In every fight I've ever had, I wanted the guy I fought to know I whooped his ass. That way, he knows not to mess with you again.
The story of the internet billionaire's rise to power is expected to be this award season's hot ticket.
Why?
A biopic about a billionaire's rise to becoming a billionaire. No matter how much shit we talk about billionaires, I'd bet a movie about Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos would do numbers. Also, that fucking laugh.
Also, this scroll says breaking news, but all it wants to report is a number to text and an email address.
No, Jeremy, the breaking news is above that ticker.
Eggsy walks into his house like Dean's buddies weren't going to report the incident at the pub. But besides that, damn, those guys woke up from unconsciousness and called Dean about it really fast, didn't they?
Jeremy has never heard of cellular phones. Besides, they didn't wake up really fast. When the fight happened, Galahad's watch showed the time as 12:45 p.m., and as the TV with the breaking news shows, it's 3:18 p.m. when Eggsy gets home.
Eggsy is suddenly a parkour badass.
That's not what the word suddenly means. This is the movie paying off the dialogue from earlier where Galahad reveals Eggsy to be an Olympic-level athlete.
We're late.
Late? So wait a minute, one of your tasks after Lancelot died was to find a recruit. Are you telling me that you waited until Eggsy got in trouble and called you out of the blue to finally decide on one? Did you not have a plan B in this scenario? Amazing all this with Eggsy happened in the last 24 hours.
Bringing up all of this happening within the last 24 hours contradicts your point, turning this into a gish gallop. Besides, the reason Galahad says, "we're late," is because he was supposed to be here at or before 9 p.m. Eggsy leaves the house around 3:18, but doesn't show up here until 8:30, a time loss of over 5 hours.
Whitest recruitment ever.
It's also 78% male. If you're going to be an SJW, do it right, you sexist patriarchal pig.
Those idiots who call themselves politicians have buried their heads in the sand and stood for nothing but re-election.
Is this guy a bad guy or simply right?
You realize this motherfucker's plan is to hypnotize people into killing each other to curb global warming, right? Listen, you can have a great point and still be evil. Ever heard of Osama bin Laden?
I know most of these guys are basically geniuses from renowned universities, but where do you learn this type of survival shit? You mean you've run across stories where people were drowning and they use shower heads and toilets as a breathing apparatus? How often does that come up?
The principle the scene is demonstrating is that there should be a pocket of air beyond the U-bend of a toilet. This is generally true, but the problem is that the room has filled with water, meaning the water pressure would have caused the pipes to fill with water. That's the true sin of this scene, not whatever nonsense you're talking about. If you're not going to suspend your disbelief, at least do it properly.
Let's talk about how Men in Black this movie is.
Let's not.
Smacking Mark Hamill for any reason.
Even after he read the script and still decided to be in The Last Jedi?
You know what? If not for 50 Shades of Grey, I would not be noticing overly large panda art. But here I am, noticing overly large panda art in yet another movie, and I'm sick of it. Meanwhile, at Tony Stark's European home, this is the Ender's Game Divergent portion of the movie.
And this is the let's make multiple movie references because I have nothing else clever to say portion of the Sins video.
Eggsy somehow knows to operate this clipboard and call up YouTube or whatever it is that gives you instant news stories. Although, let's be honest, this clipboard definitely doesn't do
You mean the same clipboard Eggsy saw Merlin using to pull up Joker's death on screen? Besides, it's clearly a tablet. You're saying a millennial doesn't know how to use a tablet.
I guess all the product placement in this movie is a joke, which I'm totally fine with. What I'm not fine with is the rich asshole serving McDonald's to his rich clients. I mean, even as a joke, how does he expect to woo the right people with this
I mean, it worked for Donald Trump, and anything good enough for our Lord and Savior is good enough for me. I'm sorry. I couldn't say that shit with a straight face.
When I was a kid, that was my dream job. Gentleman spy.
I think I know why you never became one, considering the Kingsman's recruiting standards. Did I just read racial subtext in a not-so-serious spy flick? Well, I guess that's a sin on me.
Hey, that's my job.
South Glade Mission Church is a hate group based in Kentucky.
Oh no, not another spy movie going to Kentucky. Do British people think of Kentucky as the supervillain playground in the United States?
No, but they do think of it as a breeding ground for racist hillbillies who, incidentally, make delicious fried chicken. And by they, I mean everyone who's not from Kentucky.
You know, I think if I woke up tied to some train tracks and I knew I was in an organization that liked to f with people, I might take this almost too calmly. In other words, the fact that you've been tricked so many times eventually leads you to the conclusion that you're not in a situation you think you are, and therefore the results of such a test are skewed.
Not really. As you noted earlier, Eggsy jumped out of a plane with a parachute he didn't know was working. He actually could have died. Besides, you're saying this as if this was obviously something set up by the Kingsmen. This even faked out the audience. There was reason to believe he could have gotten jigsawed here.
Just the king is Arthur.
I mean, this guy is a total dumbass.
Things people say about Jeremy after watching a Birdman video.
Shoot the dog.
And he doesn't, which is fairly ridiculous at this stage when every test has been a bit of a practical joke. And how has he not heard of this classic spy school where they ask you to shoot one of your loved ones and the gun is filled with blanks?
At least the girl's got balls.
Yeah, but what would have happened if both of them passed this test? Is there something even more up you have in store if they somehow don't know they're being messed with? Would they have both passed? You'd have to have a girl in your Knights of the Round Table motif. I guess she'd be Guinevere, but then that opens up a whole bunch of other questions, namely if two dudes pass the test.
No, you dolt. They are both auditioning for the spot of Lancelot. They literally call her Lancelot after she passes the test. If your silly idea were true, there would have been no need to continue testing them, and there would have been 2 new Kingsmen where the girl gets the girl's name. I mean, that's sexist.
Some absurd and convoluted way to kill you, and you'll find an equally convoluted way to escape. Well, this ain't that kind of movie.
Haha, wink at the audience enough and they will forgive anything, right?
You say that as if you wouldn't have cliched this monologue if Galahad escaped. Cut the shit.
Eggsy drives to the Kingsman shop, which means he has to go through all the biometrics to make the floor descend so he can take the shuttle to go to the mansion. So why is he able to do that when he failed the test and is no longer part of the program?
Probably because this is the dining room, and as shown in the beginning of the film, the dining room is up the stairs, not down the elevator with the biometrics. Didn't you say you were hyper-observant?
You know, this movie isn't the type of movie where the villain tells the hero his evil plan and puts him in an easily escapable situation, but it is the type of movie where the hero gets a last-second break to help foil an evil plan.
Arbitrary line in the sand is arbitrary. What I mean is, you accept the perilous situation the movie created for one of the heroes, but don't accept the movie's solution to that problem. That reminds me of Christians and flat earthers that deny science but try to use science to disprove science. That shit makes no sense.
When you're on a secret plane that you can only access by being a Kingsman in the first place, why do you need a secret compartment for weapons?
Customs?
None of these guys thinks to shoot the legs and feet.
Wouldn't matter if they did, considering a Kingsman suit is bulletproof.
Also, why are all the head implant explosions so colorful? And why did someone take the time to make sure there were 4 distinct color possibilities?
The explosions are colorful because Valentine can't stomach gore.
Sorry, love. Gotta save the world.
If you save the world, we can do it in the asshole.
The power of boners was already strong enough to save the world, but Swedish anal sex boners, that's a whole different ball of wax, and unexpected lube purchases.
Listen, if a moderately hot chick offers you butt sex, you think about it, because that shit's nasty. Also, Jeremy says boner.
Okay, but when they save the day later, how are there not still hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dead people from this global rampage?
There are? Nobody said everyone was going to make it.
Man, anal sex. Could be said that the end of this movie got downright cheeky, am I right?
Shit, if this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna stick my dick in the mashed potatoes.